Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to put the 4-draw chuck on now, and I also got a new tool which I'm going to take a look at and see if it's any good. Tool that I bought. We'll take a look at that in a minute. I told you before that I'm changing this out from bolts to studs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the studs in permanently. Well, not permanently. I wanted to put them in permanently, but I only had medium strength thread locker, Loctite. Clean out the holes here with a little bit of acetone. And we'll also clean off the studs. And the reason I changed the studs is because it comes with these bolts that are Allen head bolts, and they're a pain in the butt to get out because you've got limited space. This will be a lot easier. All these bolts do, they don't register the chuck in place. All they do is hold the chuck in place. The actual registration is from the register that I cut, that you saw me cut. Alright, while that's setting up a little bit, I'm going to do a quick clean on the chuck itself. By the way, what I used to make those studs was just some rod that I got from Amazon. It's high grade threaded rod. I think it's grade 8, might be grade 5. You can usually tell in the pictures because it's usually got a black oxide coating on it. It's just a little bit better than your standard hardware type threaded rod that you get at a hardware store. Alright, here's the chuck. Let me get the bolts out of it. I actually thought of a different way to do the backing plate too. I'm not sure why I didn't think of it before, and I may have tried it before but thought it wasn't a good way. Yeah, so I may have tried it before and not decided not to do it that way, but basically it's taking the measurement on the outside of your back plate, okay, your overall measurement of your back plate, and then subtracting the 83 millimeters, okay, which is the bolt circle, and then whatever's left from that, divide that in two, and then scribe a line from the edge around at that dimension. Now, the problem with that on this is that this, while it's fairly circular, it has a lot of little nicks and crannies and on the edge of it. So depending on what you use to scribe that line, you know, you want something precision. You could use something like this, or hermaphroditic calipers, but you'll notice that you could get off really easy just by going around there. You have to stay really square to the circle. But anyway, alright, so let's clean this chuck up a little bit. Now I cleaned this thing when I first got it a few years ago, and this chuck does have one little problem. I think I mentioned it in an earlier video, and I'll show you that in a second. And I knew about the problem when I bought the chuck, so it's not a big deal. I had the guy send me really detailed pictures of it, so that I knew what I was getting myself into, because it on first inspection you'd think, well, I don't know if I want to use that chuck. But then when you look at it a little closer, it's probably not that bad. But I'll get your guys' opinion on it, and you'll tell me, oh, you're stupid for turning that thing at 500 RPM. Could have made the chuck key just a hair longer. That way the whole thing would come out without having to mess with it. I remember if these chucks are marked. Alright, it probably doesn't matter, but I am going to put a mark on these, just because I like to do that. You see the chuck is marked. The chuck is marked 1, 2, 3, 4. So this came out of 1, So I'm just going to put a dot on it. That's 1. This came out of 2, so I'll put 2 marks on it. That's 2. This is going to be 4, so I'll put 4 marks on it. You see where I'm going here. And that's just so I get them back in the same spot. I don't really think it matters on this. I'm going to show you the problem with this chuck. It's kind of hard to get this where you can see it and I can hold it at the same time. You see right here, it's got some little chunks taken out of it. Not completely, just a few little chunks. It's less bad on the other side of that one. This side also has that problem. It's got some little chunks taken out of the bottom of it. What I think is going to happen, let me get that piece out. What I think is going to happen is it's got a little bit of tilt in it. Okay, it's not coming out of there. There's still over 1/4 inch of meat there holding it on, but it will have a little bit of tilt. So as you tighten it, depending on how it tightens, it may tilt a little bit. Whereas the good ones don't have nearly as much play. They have a little bit, but not nearly as much. So you tell me, for what I'm going to use this for, is that a bad thing? And I'm not going to put anything huge in this thing. And I'm certainly not putting any aerospace parts in it, or you know, there's nothing going to the moon going in this. So for the home shop, what do you think? Is it alright? Should I worry about it? You let me know. Alright, I'm going to clean these out just a little bit with some acetone. I'm just going to buff this up a little bit with some Scotch-Brite. Like I said, when I first got this chuck, I did actually do a fairly thorough cleaning on it. I just want to get surface stuff off, any surface rust. It's been stored pretty well, so there's not much on it. Alright, I'm going to use some Zoom Spout ERP oil. This is just like a really fine machine oil. I use it for a lot of different things. It seems to work really well. I'm not going to use a whole lot. Let me know what you guys use in the comments. Like I said, I just want to lubricate it up a little bit. I'm not, this is cast iron, so it's not, sort of self-lubricating by itself, but it's been dry a long time. Only usually, if I oil a chuck, I only do it very lightly because it attracts so much garbage. But at the same time, I'm like, well, you got to put something on there. All right, this is 3. Put that in. This is 4. 2. Alright guys, let's mount the back plate on. Just cannot keep you in frame here. I need somebody here to hold the camera. I just moved out of frame. I don't know if I mentioned it, but the outside of this chuck does register into the chuck itself, or the chuck back plate registers into the chuck itself. I'm sure a lot of you know how these things go together. You're just, jeez, what is the guy droning on for? Get on with it. Okay, so I'm going to listen to double boost, put a board down, because this thing's heavy. In there. And a couple taps to get it up on the register. Okay. So now we can use our new tool. So yeah, I got tired of dealing with this thing. The old kind of posts and stuff, you know, and you always got to change the tip, and it's never the right angle. The magnet's wearing out, so I bought this thing. This is made by Clockwise Tools. Sold on Amazon, and I bought this. They didn't send me this, just so you know. So what I say about it is what I feel about it. Came in a, you know, your standard bog standard cheap Chinese box that you can't believe it made it here in one piece in. Right out of the box, I noticed that the magnet was sticking. I mean, it was stuck. Oh, it was stuck off. I had to actually just pop it loose, and now it works. It still sticks once in a while. I'm not sure. The mechanism in there is not, it's not great, okay? This 30 or 40 year old Inco one made in the US has a nice positive stop. It always works. Now the magnet is a little worn out though, so it's not as strong. This one is a little bit stronger. It's a Noga ripoff. You know, I have a home shop here. I'm not going to pay Noga prices. I'm sorry. I hear they're the greatest thing since, you know, since a micrometer, but I'm sorry guys, the prices are ridiculous for what this is. This is, you know, it just is. Sorry. This is the Chinese equivalent. It's very, first impressions, of course, all this is. I haven't used it a whole lot. It's got your normal range of motion. Put it anywhere you want. Let me get a indicator here. Indicator goes in nice and sturdy. Goes over. Let's move it over a little bit. Okay, so it's on there. The magnet's on there. Tighten it down once you get it in position, and you know, all these have a little bit of flex in them. They're not going to be as strong as the solid ones, but it seems all right. Tapping on it, it does have a micro adjustment, which is not a micro adjustment. It's a pretty coarse adjustment, but it works. So put it on 0, turn it around, and I know you can't see the face, but we're getting about what I expected out of this chuck. This chuck's got a lot of bumps and nicks in it, so it's kind of hard to get a good measurement off of it. Couple thousand, same thing we got with the faceplate. Not worried about that. But First impressions, is it going to be useful? Yeah, absolutely. Am I going to have to replace the magnet? Maybe. I might have to put that other income magnet on there. Just because, you know, when you got it set and you can't get it off, or you can't turn it on without messing up, you know, without jerking on it, it's kind of worthless. But, you know, maybe the magnet will loosen up. And maybe it won't. I don't know. It's made out of aluminum. It's, what is this? Let's see how tall it is. 6. Yeah, a little bit taller than 12 inches. Probably 13, 14 inches tall. They sell ones that are cheaper than this. This one was, I think, was about $24 with shipping. Which, for what it is, I'm happy. Even if I end up not using it, if it gets slack or something, or I don't think it's precision enough for my uses, I'll end up using it for a camera mount. So either way, I'm not losing out. Let's try the, it's got two different ways to mount on here. You've got the, you got your standard round mount for a standard dial indicator, but you also have some dovetail mounts for like a test indicator. And I did notice before they're a little tight. This is like a federal test indicator. So what I had to do was actually spread it a little bit. With a screwdriver. And then I could get it in there. Then it's in there, then it'll tighten up. And once it's in there, it seems to be all right. And again, you got your normal full range of motion like a Noga, you know. It's nothing against Noga. It's just I can't afford that kind of money for that. If you know, for as much as I use it, it's just not worth it to me. As an alternative, as a cheaper alternative, yeah, so far so good. You know, like I said, my only worry right now is this magnet thing going to hold up, or is it just the way it is in there? Is it just kind of jerky? And I think on one of the reviews I read, it said something about that too. So it's probably all of them are like that. It's just not all that positive a lock. It locks on, and don't get me wrong. I mean, it's magnetic on there. Another thing I read was the grinding on the bottom of these things was, and the sides, because it does have also a side mount, was a little hinky. Yeah, there's a little bit of wobble in there. You know, if you got a surface grinder, you could take care of that, or if you rub an ML over it. I don't know. For my uses, I think it's going to be fine. I just sick and tired of trying to, you know, change all the different adapters and whatnot to get the stuff to work, and to get it in the right position is often a pain in my butt. So I think it's going to be all right. You know, it stays put. It's got a little wobble in it, but I've seen Nogas do the same thing. So there you go. There's an alternative to Nogas that doesn't completely suck. So all right, guys, let's spin this forge all up. I'll stand over here out of the way. And I got my new camera out of the way to see if the jaws come flying off of it. Here we go. First time it's ever spun on here. Well, that's a success. Let's put something in it. This is some plastic. Coming up, I got a video coming up where I'm going to make, you know, I've talked about this in 2 other videos, but I'm going to make a holder for these guys that I make, and I'm going to try to make a collet out of the plastic. The last video I was using rubber for it. The rubber was not a success. The rubber heated up, and when it heated up, it was had more tendency to slip. So that was not a success at all. Obviously, I'm going to have a little bit of issue with heat on these parts as well, although they'll be a little thicker, so they'll be able to take it a little more. But I had to get this 4-jaw chuck mounted to do this, because the 3-jaw I had on there would not hold this piece. And I really needed, you know, this much material to do this. You're about to, by the way, this is a Cushman chuck. I think I mentioned it was a Buck or a Columbia. It's a Cushman. You're about to watch me try to center a 4-jaw for the first time ever. Alright guys, I decided I needed to practice with something other than that big old plastic, so I put in a gauge pin here, and I did manage to get it within 1/1000ths there. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and next time hopefully I'll be cutting some plastic, and look for the Trident video coming this weekend. See you later.